Thank you for taking the question. I'm on the other side of the fence. We run small businesses. We do not cover our employees with health insurance. I'd like to know how many people in this room do not have health insurance of some kind. I think that's the answer to the question. I think the people who are objecting are the people who
have insurance.
Yes, exactly. Now, I have worked.
Can we, let me hear.
Speak up. Okay. I have seen my employees go to the emergency room for a urinary tract infection that should have been covered in a doctor's office. I've seen another employee who now because of diabetes untreated, now is on dialysis and is blind. Now, we're paying for that
Through the emergency.
through the emergency room and through now Medicare and so on. But on the same time, I think we need to do something. Now, what's happening right now for us, my husband and I, we're in our 60s, we pay for individual policies. We are paying almost $2,000 a month. A month.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm
my
over
question
that, and I'd
is,
love to answer your question because I'm an insurance agent for a living.
well, we have pre-existing conditions.
So
I'm in
what?
a state pool. Nobody will take me. He has an older policy. But, I mean, that's what we're paying. $2,800 my last quarterly premium. But with that said, yes, I think we need to do something desperately. But my husband's concern is the cost to our business. We haven't done it to begin with because we couldn't afford it. So we need to be certain that we're not going to have costs that we can't cover. That there is some employee responsibility.
The bill actually has, and again, depending on the size of your small business, you may not be covered. Like I said, I think it's $500,000 in
Right. Our payrolls are probably $400,000 divided between two businesses.
Yeah. Well, I think it'd be the two businesses you would have separately unless they're owned by the same. But anyway, but there is an individual mandate too, that those folks, and the goal for that is that, and my wife and I are fortunate to have two children. We have a son when he was in his 20s, decided he didn't need insurance, and so because he was out of college, and I put him on my COBRA because I knew he would show up at an emergency room sometime or something. Thank goodness he didn't. But a lot of people who just say, I just can't. But I grew up in a family with small business. In fact, the only employees of the business were family. My dad contracted with some folks to do some of the other work. But we didn't have insurance, although we did have it in any given year. But if it was a tough year, and we're talking about the late 50s and early 60s, depending on the year, we didn't have insurance. And so, my mom had hypertension before we knew what it was. I had high blood pressure. She had to go to the doctor every week to get her blood pressure checked. And we paid cash for that. I was fortunate enough, I didn't get sick very much when I was a kid, neither did my brother. But that's the problem. That's why we need something. And you're in a cooperative state?
No, I'm the state high-risk pool.
The state high-risk pool?
Yes.
For insurance.
Yes.
And I know the state started that in the 90s.
And
when I was
it's
in
a wonderful program, but I'm
It's
paying
still-
$1,000 a month
Well,
for my.
It's overpriced for what it is. You'd
I
be better off
agree,
buying a group
but
plan.
it's all I've got. I can't. That's the thing.
You don't meet the employee participation because your
Right.
employees are unwilling to pay part of the premium.
And that's what I'm saying. There
That's the
needs-
problem. Employees don't want to pay. They want the
Right.
employer to
And
furnish it
but
and do
I
this again.
cannot, at the same time.
the bill actually has both, depending on the size of the business, but it has an individual mandate in there too. And
The individual.
for the individual that would have to pay a certain amount of their income.
Okay, that's what I would like to see in there. I don't want it to be all my responsibility, but we do need to do something.
Let me get this young man here.
I have a couple really quick questions. First of which, we get a quick show of hands. What is it going to take for you to go back? You already pushed this out of your committee, but what is it going to take for you not to vote for the ultimate thing, to vote no for the ultimate thing? If you're noticing overwhelmingly your constituents are saying they don't want it, is that enough, or are you gonna still go and push your agenda or whatever, do what you think is best? What is it gonna take?
You know, our district's about 600, 700,000 people.
But we're the
And
ones.
we do
showing
town hall
authority.
meetings, and I've done them since 1993
Okay.
on the congressional level. And it's a good microcosm, but, you know, I don't vote just because somebody sends me 1,000 emails, you know, when I represent 700,000 people. So, you know, I try to take the concerns that in the issues, you know, whether it's, we don't want to hurt Medicare, and I don't want to either. I want to make sure we shore up Medicare. And if, the only reason I think we have to have a public option is that, you know, I've served as a state legislator for a lot of years, and we tried all sorts of plans to be able to get to the uninsured, and we haven't been able to get there. And, I mean, we got 60% of the people covering employee base, and a smaller percentage of an individual policies that people buy. You know, but still, we probably have 30% of our folks in our country who don't have insurance. Health insurance.
So what's it gonna take to change your vote?
So the minority that don't have.
Whatever's the best for the district, and I'm gonna do a lot of town hall meetings, and I'm gonna listen to them.
Okay.
Yes, sir. No, you got
I
one more.
apologize. I wanted to piggyback on her question. And I own a photography business, I own a small business. Eventually, hopefully it won't be so small. So I'll be following under these regulations. And I don't think the correlation people are noticing. I'm looking to pay my employees pretty well, $20, $30 an hour for a photographer. If I'm offering health coverage though, because I have to, they're only gonna make $10 or $12 an hour. So there's a give and take there. If
Those
you tell me,
percentages is probably not correct.
well, okay.
You're gonna pay $30.
Well, I'm paying them, so I make the percentages. So what I'm saying though, if it's coming out of my pocket, it's ultimately gonna come out of their pocket, because I'm paying the payroll. So it's not free. There's nothing, they're not gonna get insurance for free is my point. And whenever you mandate it to me, I think you should make people aware that if you're making companies do this, their prices are gonna go up, your pay is gonna go down, there's gonna be adverse effects to it that you're kind of covering up. It's not all good.
Well, on the other side, I have companies in our district who have employer-based insurance, and they tell me that it goes up every year for them because they're paying for these folks that show up in the emergency room and may not get be diagnosed with diabetes early enough that they can actually get medication to change their lifestyle. So they end up on dialysis, and we all pay for that. So,
Okay.
and
I'm not saying that something doesn't need to be done. I'm saying you need to be smart about what you do.
and hopefully we will. But let me give you one example in our district. About 3 years ago, in fact, this comes to your natural gas question. Shell Chemical, it's in our district in Deer Park. We have the refinery and the chemical plant. They, the CEO comes by every year and they'll talk about how things are going at their plant. And he said, we actually moved jobs from the chemical plant in Deer Park, Texas to the Netherlands. He said because at that time the price of North Sea natural gas was just enough below what we could get out of the Gulf of Mexico, and that was before we discovered all the shale gas. And he said, but the other issue is that we pay more per employee in Deer Park, Texas for health care than we do in the Netherlands. And so he said, it's a business decision, and you're a multinational, that's what you're going to do. And so that's why health care needs to be reasonable in our own country, and something has to be done. I don't know if we'll ever get anything perfect out of Congress.
But isn't there
Yes,
an
sir.
incentive for employers to pay their employees? I mean, to cover their employees in